independent communique of the Central Executive Committee dated 14th April 2013, yesterday. The Central Executive Committee of the National Resistance Movement, chaired by the National Chairperson, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has met today, this is yesterday, Sunday 14th April 2013, in Entebbe, and unanimously approved all the findings and recommendations of the National Resistance Movement National Disciplinary Committee regarding various complaints raised against the following NRM members of Parliament. 1. Muhammad Nsereko of Kampala Central Constituency. 2. Theodore Sechkubo of Rwemiyaga Constituency. 3. Barnabas Tinkasimire of Buyaga West Constituency. 4. Wilfred Nwagaba of Ndorwa East Constituency. And 5. Vincent Chamadidi Mujuni of Rwampara Constituency. Pursuant to Rule 12B of the NRM Code of Conduct, 4th Schedule of the NRM Constitution, the Central Executive Committee, SEC, confirmed the following recommendations of the NRM National Disciplinary Committee, which take effect from today, Sunday, 14th April 2013. A. That Muhammad Nsereko be dismissed from NRM. That Theodore Sechkubo be dismissed from NRM. C. That Barnabas Tinkasimire be dismissed from NRM. D. That Wilfred Nwagaba be dismissed from NRM. And E. That Vincent Chamadidi Mujuni be suspended from the NRM for 3 months. The NRM Code of Conduct applies to all members of the NRM without exception. SEC, in making its final decisions, took particular cognizance of the findings of the National Disciplinary Committee in its sittings from 31st January to 4th April this year, pursuant to the NRM National Disciplinary Committee mandate to hear and determine complaints of the breach of the NRM Code of Conduct under Rule 9 of that code. The complaints against the above members of Parliament included: 1. Campaigning for candidates of opposition parties in by-elections. 2. The campaigning official NRM candidates in by-elections. 3. Willful, intentional reporting or dissemination of false and malicious allegations against the NRM in the media. 4. Using wrong fora, such as the media or opposition party platforms, in addressing pertinent NRM issues. 5. Engaging in formation of cliques and intrigue within NRM. 6. Using abusive language. 7. Contempt of the National Disciplinary Committee and the leadership of NRM. All the above allegations constitute breach of the provisions of the NRM Code of Conduct. All the 5 members of Parliament were on several hearing dates of the committee, invited to attend, invited to respond to the allegations raised against them. With the exception of Honorable Chamadidi, who appeared before the committee on 3 occasions, the rest never honored the invitation by the committee and publicly repudiated the authority of the committee and announced their refusal to appear before it. The committee subsequently decided to proceed with the hearings in the absence of the respondents. In its proceedings, the committee strictly adhered to the cardinal principles of fair hearing and natural justice. After receiving evidence from the witnesses, documents, video, and audio recordings, the committee made the following findings and recommendations. Honorable Muhammad Nsereko, MP Kampala Central. 1. The committee found that Honorable Nsereko campaigned for Mathias Nsubuga, a candidate sponsored by the DP, Democratic Party, contrary to Rule 4, Sub-Rule 1, Paragraph M of the NRM Code of Conduct. Bullet 2, that Honorable Nsereko campaigned against Honorable Alintuma Nsambu, the official candidate of NRM, contrary to Rule 4, Sub-Rule 1, Paragraph O of the NRM Code of Conduct. Bullet 3, that Honorable Nsereko used the wrong forum in addressing pertinent issues, many of them. I'll give you a summary of the judgment, if I can call it that, so that you can see some of those. Contrary to Rule 4, Sub-Rule 1, Paragraph I of the NRM Code of Conduct. Bullet 4, that Honorable Nsereko willfully, intentionally reported or disseminated false and malicious allegations contrary to 4.1J of the Code. Honorable Sage Kubo, MP Remiaga County. Bullet 1, excuse me. The committee found that Honorable Sage Kubo engaged in the formation of cliques within NRM and engaged in intrigue within NRM contrary to Rule 4, Sub-Rule 1, Paragraph A of the NRM Code of Conduct. Bullet 2, that Honorable Sage Kubo used a wrong forum in addressing pertinent issues contrary to Rule 4.1I of the Code. That Honorable Bullet 3, Sage Kubo willfully, intentionally reported or disseminated false and malicious allegations contrary to Rule 4.1J of the Code. And Bullet 4, that Honorable Sage Kubo used abusive language contrary to Rule 4, Sub-Rule 1, Paragraph L of the Code of Conduct. Honorable Barnabas Tinkasimile, MP Buyaga West County constituency. Bullet 1, the committee found that Honorable Tinkasimile engaged in the formation of cliques within NRM and engaged in intrigue contrary to Rule 4.1A of the Code. 2, that Honorable Tinkasimile used the wrong forum in addressing pertinent issues contrary to Rule 4.1I of the Code. Bullet 3, that Honorable Tinkasimile willfully, intentionally reported or disseminated false and malicious allegations contrary to Rule 4.1J of the Code. And Bullet 4, that Honorable Tinkasimile used abusive language contrary to Rule 4.1L of the Code. Honorable Wilfred Nwagaba, MP Ndorwa East Constituency. The committee found that Honorable Nwagaba engaged in the formation of cliques within NRM and engaged in intrigue within NRM, contrary to Rule 4.1A of the Code. And Bullet 2, that Honorable Nwagaba willfully, intentionally reported or disseminated false and malicious allegations contrary to Rule 4.1J of the Code. Honorable Vincent Chwamadidi Mujuni, MP Rwampara County constituency. Bullet 1, the committee found that Honorable Chwamadidi Mujuni engaged in the formation of cliques and intrigue within NRM, that Chamadidi used the wrong forum in addressing pertinent issues, that he willfully, intentionally reported or disseminated false and malicious allegations contrary to Rule 41J, and that Chamadidi consumed intoxicants to levels which made him appear disorderly in public, contrary to Rule 4, Sub-Rule 1, Paragraph H of the NRM Code of Conduct. The Central Executive Committee commended the NRM National Disciplinary Committee for discharging their task with due diligence, thoroughness, and in full observance of the principles of natural justice. SEC noted that a qualitative new threshold had been passed in the consolidation of internal cohesion and discipline in NRM. SEC directed the Secretary General to formally communicate its decisions on the complaints on the named errant individuals to them, the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, the Electoral Commission, the membership of the NRM, and the general public. That's the end of the communique. Our Constitution strictly prohibits anyone changing party or status in Parliament. Therefore, if anyone loses his, in this case they are all men, they are male, his sponsorship of the party, that means they will lose their seats in Parliament.
But there was already a British National Prime Minister. The effect that in the last Parliament, the 8th Parliament, 2 members of Parliament were suspended from they were expelled from their party. Honorable Betty Kamia and Alex Wanjiru. But the main Parliament, even after their notice of the Parliament, what kind of how do you decide to take?
I don't know about that precedent, and I wouldn't want to comment on it, but I know about our position as a party. Secondly, you may recollect that there is actually a court ruling on it. You may remember that in the last Parliament, during the preparations for the general election, for instance, members of NRM lost their seats. Remember? Because they stood as independent in the primaries, in the general election. And those who were independent in Parliament and stood in the primaries and won as NRM candidates lost their seats. And the simple reason was that by standing on NRM ticket, for example, it meant they had joined NRM, and therefore their seat in Parliament. But I don't want to engage in that argument, because I am sure that someone is going to go to court on it, so I prefer that court pronounces. This is our understanding of that law.
You have just read to us many issues which these guys did. These guys you have expelled them. Indeed, there has been flagrant breach of party rules by them. We go in combination with Chapter 6 of the Constitution, 83, Article 83, you have just read it to us, Clause G. It is said when a person leaves the party, that person can easily what? Can easily be chased away from, or else can easily be sent away from Parliament. But in NRM, what does it say for somebody to leave the party? Because this one, it is like you have dismissed or expelled them. Does it mean they have left the party? Thank you.
Okay, maybe I can have some more.
Yes, please.
My question is simple. Why did you go for dismissal? It's rather than any other disciplinary action. Why why did you need to do?
We see in many of, one of the problems is that they use the abusive language. For purposes of clarity, because abusive language may sound ambiguous, could you tell the listener to avoid the repeat and as well the members repeat the same, to have the same issue? Could you tell us, according to your constitution, what amounts to use of abusive language in the party?
Aguma. Thank you very much, Secretary General. My concern is the last page 6 about briefing.
About?
Chamadidi is being fired for intoxicants, which I understand may be drinking. It's the first time, sir, I'm hearing the punishment against somebody for drinking.
No, I think the point I made is that, you see, an organization that does not have discipline, an organization that does not have a center that holds, cannot exist. So, in the Constitution and in the laws of Uganda, all political parties are required, as a condition for registration, to have constitutions. And one of the articles, I think is 72, but could be another one, of our Constitution, commands that for a political party to have the freedom to participate in the political space of Uganda, it must conform to certain democratic principles. So the requirement that every political party should have a constitution is for those who have been charged with the responsibility of registering political parties in Uganda to confirm that this particular political party has bound itself to rules that give its members the possibility of practicing democracy within the organization. So NRM has a constitution, it has a code of conduct, and as I say in this, as we say in this communique, thank you. As we say in this communique, the NRM code of conduct applies to all members of NRM without exception, everybody. So, if your actions are in breach or fall foul of the code of conduct, then you are subject to the mechanism that we set up to ensure discipline within our organization. Article 83G says if one leaves his or her political party, for anyone to interpret that to mean that it's only when you voluntarily go, then obviously that's not how they interpret laws. That's not how provisions of the law are interpreted. Laws are interpreted in practical terms because if the party expels you, are you still in the party? Are you still in the party? No, you are not. So what has happened? You have left. Namutevi, she was asking, why dismissal? In the case of Honorable Nsereko, if any member of NRM campaigns against the official candidate of NRM, the penalty is mandatory dismissal. It is only one dismissal. If one campaigns for a candidate of the opposition, the penalty under NRM is mandatory dismissal. That's the reason. Now, the others were liable to dismissal, but as you see from this one which I've given you, Bwana Mutale of Simba, he wanted to know what is abusive language. What is abusive language? Whom have we said used abusive language? Let's take Sech Kubo. Can we take Honorable Sech Kubo? No, Sech Kubo as an example. They are here. These things are here. Bemiyaga. For instance, just one example. At page 9, Sech Kubo stated in Parliament that he is ashamed of belonging to NRM, whose leaders are murderers. What did you think Asimile say? Yes, Bulade committee, and he said the committee should be arrested, they are idlers, and so on and so forth. We in NRM are trained and try to train our members to be polite in our language, to be respectful of everyone, those who are our colleagues, those who are our seniors, those who are our juniors, even those in the opposition. When we deal with them, you should copy my language. Have you ever heard me abusing even the opposition? Honorable Baguma was asking about intoxicants. Baguma, our constitution in Code Rule 4H, it says a member or a leader of NRM shall not consume intoxicants to levels which make him or her appear disorderly in public or which affect performance of his duties or her duties. So Baguma, if you want to take a beer in your house, no problem. Or one which doesn't make you appear disorderly. But once you reach levels that make you appear disorderly in public or which affect your performance of duties, I'm afraid that's an offense. In our rule, our article, this is now the Constitution itself, the main provisions, which talks about rights and duties of members. And it says that in 9G, 9(2)G, every member of NRM shall, as a duty, observe discipline, behave honestly, and be loyal to the decisions of the majority of the members of the organ where a member belongs, and to the decisions of higher organs within the structures of NRM. So if we meet, assume we are an organ of NRM, and we have free debate on a matter, and we decide and take a position, then even those who are opposed to the position that was adopted are bound by the Constitution to respect the decision of the majority. But if you now begin to campaign against that decision, picking one member by one member, going in another forum outside our party to discuss the same issue and take a different position, then you are involved in intrigue. Yeah, we are informing the Speaker about the decision we made, that therefore these members no longer, we have withdrawn the sponsorship of these members as NRM members of Parliament. And as I said in the House, you must have identity. There is no room for, what do you call people who don't have identity? There is no room for anonymity, political anonymity. It's not there.
Okay, I was giving him this. This one remains in the office there.